All right, then. I think we're live. So,
Hello, hello.
welcome. Hi, Sarah. Welcome, everybody, to our LinkedIn Live, where we'll be talking about the effective strategies to build a successful alumni community. We'll just take a couple more minutes before people join. I mean, everybody joins. And, in the meantime, maybe we could do a fun exercise of, letting everybody know where we guys are joining, the conversation from. So, I'm joining from Bangalore, India. Sarah, what about you?
I am joining today from Tel Aviv in Israel. Although I do work between London and Tel Aviv, but right now I'm in Tel Aviv and enjoying the heat.
And everybody else as well, the audience, you guys can let us know in the comment where you guys are joining us from. So yeah, I would love to talk about the initiative first, and how
Mm.
it started. So about a year and a half back, we started with the LinkedIn Live conversations where we talk about subjects that matter to folks in the advancement industry and our colleagues in the alumni relations departments. And we've talked about young alumni engagement, how to organize a good homecoming, how to engage your international alums successfully. And our last one was on how to leverage chat gpt in advancement. That was a great hit. And today, like I said, we'll be talking about effective strategies to build a successful alumni community. Now, this is something that has been extensively discussed in the past decade or so, and rightfully so, right? Because in the past sort of 10 years, alumni engagement has transitioned from being a loyalty driven program to more value driven, right? So it's always new things that keep coming. And today, for discussing this topic, we have with us Sarah Hillel. Welcome, Sarah. Thank you so much for joining us. Sarah is the CEO of Alumni Podcast and has worked extensively with advancement teams in creating programs to engage their alumni meaningfully. I won't be doing great justice to her resume, so I'll invite Sarah to
Mhm.
speak very briefly about herself.
Thank you, Ankit. Great to be here. Thank you so much for having me. So, currently, in my current role, as you
Mhm,
mentioned, I'm leading the team at Alumni Podcasts.
mhm.
And in a nutshell, as our name suggests, Alumni Podcasts, we produce podcast series for schools, universities, non-profits, basically any organization or institution that has an alumni community. And so that
Mhm.
we hope that podcast becomes a key part of the institution's marketing and kind of brand awareness toolbox to increase engagement and
Yeah,
boost brand awareness amongst other things. So essentially, what we're trying to do is to give alumni a voice, for the alumni to be the voice of the particular university or school or non-scholarship foundation by leveraging, in the main, audio storytelling, which is a really powerful engagement tool.
got it, got
So
it.
we're
And
quite, yeah,
yeah, please go ahead.
yeah. So we're quite a small company. We are, but we do work with clients globally. And so, first, like to just allude to podcasts firstly and say that with the clients that we work with, every school or university has a different idea of how a podcast will look like as an engagement initiative for them. So, as a couple of examples, right now I'm working on a really great project with a college in New York who are
Mhm.
celebrating 90 years of the school's history. So we're going to have a very special series with an episode per decade. So
Oh,
it's
nice.
really exciting to be involved in a
Yeah.
in a series where we're going to hear the voices of so many generations of graduates and faculty members and other stakeholders. As a quite a different example, we're also working with an international school in Germany right now, where a podcast is aimed entirely at an audience of parents or prospective parents. And that's going to again involve interviews with alumni and faculty and staff. But in this sense, the podcast is being utilized as an admissions and recruitment tool
Got it.
to
Yeah.
emphasize the kind of the academic excellence of that school and why parents perhaps should choose or select that school as the destination for their child. But in the main focus usually with podcasts is the lovely aspect of storytelling, which
Yeah.
resonates with everyone. Yeah. So where alumni talk about, their personal journeys, their experiences, their achievements, and they reflect on their experiences at their school or university, whatever the case may be. So there are many ways that a podcast can be used to, or the audio can be used in
Yeah.
alumni relations initiatives to be impactful.
Got it. Got it. And also, Sarah, before starting alumni podcast, what was your experience like? Like, what were you doing?
Well, that was my learning curve. That was where I learned from others. I really did. So for 5 years, I worked for a company in the ed tech space,
Uh-huh.
and my role was event production. I was the event director. So I was organizing some of the huge alumni relations and advancement and career services, actually, conferences in the world. Excuse me. And these were taking place, we hosted in the University of Oxford several times, UCLA several times, Harvard. Um, and I was also exhibiting at all the full range of educational conferences there are out there: Case NACE, Case
Yeah.
Districts, IDPE in the UK, AACSB, etc. So what I'm trying to kind of set the kind of the framework there is that I got to hear firsthand about all the challenges that advancement professionals are dealing with to successfully engage with their communities, and hear their ideas as well for improving
Yeah. Yeah.
engagement and their initiatives. So I got to speak to some incredible people through the years, and so I have a lot to thank them for.
Yeah.
Um,
Amazing.
and it was also illuminating because I was able to hear from different institutions, from enterprise universities, colleges, universities, K-12 schools, uh, big nonprofits, small nonprofits, international schools, and these were from all over the world.
Got
So
it.
it was a very different blend of hearing about what's working in different geographical locations and in different sized educational institutions. And I was very, very lucky to be privy to that because that's what laid the groundwork for me
Yeah.
thinking that podcasts and alumni would be a very good fit.
Makes sense. Makes complete sense. And yeah, we're fortunate to have you in our company, Sarah. Just to start off the
Thank you.
discussion and the conversation, uh, and just to set the context for everybody, how would you engage? How would you define an engaged online alumni community?
Oh, $1 million question. Um, yeah, so engagement is the largest challenge for
Yeah.
advancement officers, alumni relations officers. So I think there's two main, from what I've learned, there are two main components to this. Firstly, how the graduates are maintaining a great and meaningful connection with the institution. And
Mhm.
secondly, how are they maintaining a meaningful connection with their fellow alumni? So I think there's two parts, two key parts at play there.
Yeah.
So in terms of the institutions, are you actively engaging your members in all the various activities, your reunions, your homecomings, career fairs, any cultural activities or sporting events, webinars? Are you offering your alumni the opportunity to volunteer, to serve on advisory boards? So to really make them feel part of the community and, of course, contribute to fundraising events. And I think with all these activities, what's the key is, and to be truly successful, that you need to be able to measure the engagement. And that's where data is so important in alumni relations. You should get feedback from surveys, focus groups, really track the participation rates at all your events, know who was there, follow up afterwards, because having that data is going to be able to help you fine tune all your future events and offerings. And like I say, data is just like key. I can't
Yeah.
I can't stress that enough from what I've seen in practice.
Yeah.
And then you've got the second point, which is the communication between the alumni. So how are you facilitating that as an institution? You've got to go heavy on your social media channels. have you got various, excuse me, various interest groups or alumni-led chapters?
Yeah,
Um, do you have an alumni portal where, and this is really key, where the alumni can message each other directly,
yeah.
and so they can have, one-on-one communication. Um, job
Self-driven
seeking,
engagement.
basically.
Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely right. Yeah, yeah. Um, job seeking, job boards. There's nothing better than being able to employ someone that was a graduate from your school, knows your culture, knows the spirit of the school.
yeah,
You know the academic excellence of that school that you attended. And of course, mentoring always has and always will be a key part of alumni relations. So establishing all that. So that's that side of the coin. And I think that part, because really a true key sign of a robust community is when the alumni are engaging
yeah.
with each other.
Got it. That makes perfect sense. And the way you also structured, both the sides of, getting the data and then working on your programming. Also, if we could move to some real life sort of strategies that you have seen work in your, time in advancement, right? So, what would be some of the strategies that you've seen work with, sort of building a thriving alumni community?
Yeah, of course. So I want to stress again, I was never, as you know, Ankit, I was never in a role per se
Yeah,
as
yeah,
an alumni relations or advancement professional. That's why I wanted to mention at the beginning, kind of my background with working with so
yeah,
many different schools. So I can um, talk about things that I saw work, strategies
mhm,
and
yeah,
initiatives that I saw were quite effectual. And as we don't have a lot of time today, so I'll just cover three. I'm just looking at my notes.
yeah. Sure, sure. Please.
Remember what I'm talking about. So the first thing I thought of is go back to basics. Poll your alumni.
Hmm.
You need to know what they want. And it's a great tactic to survey your alumni. So you're not working blind. And every community is completely different. And this is particularly effective if you're in a new role or where a school maybe doesn't have great data, doesn't have maybe at the moment a robust program in place, or maybe you're looking to overhaul your strategy, which I know alumni officers do from time to time. So polling is also in itself a good outreach tool because you're reaching out to
Yeah,
your alumni to get their responses so they feel it's inclusive. So, and that can be anything. You can set up that poll as you wish. Do your alumni want more in-person events, class reunions, hybrid events, more opportunities to volunteer, maybe more cultural or art programs. Maybe they want access to more free or reduced cost resources in the university or school, the library, for example. Um, maybe you want to start alumni sports leagues. That will be applicable to big schools that have a very big program of athletics.
yeah,
And I was thinking the other day, what about artificial intelligence meetups? Led by alumni who are working in this field because this is hugely topical.
hmm,
Um,
yes,
engaging, again, very topical, engaging in sustainability initiatives. People are working, in climate change action, other areas of sustainability and sustainable living. That will attract, I think, a lot of interest. And of course, I have to add, of course, podcasts and storytelling if the alumni want that. And if they
yeah.
do, what would they like to hear about?
Hmm.
What stories would they like? What topics would they like covered?
Got it. Uh, and so before we move to the third question, I would just like to take a pause here and ask folks in the audience if whatever observations they would like to make, they can drop us in the comment section. Also, any questions that you have that you'd want us to take up, or we'd love to do that. And also, moving forward, what topics would you like us to cover? Let us know. We'd be happy to sort of cover them in time. Now moving to the next question, because you worked, in podcast for a long time, Sarah, and in my experience as well, for the past 2 years, I've seen some amazing podcast programs at universities such as Anderson. And it is even outside advancement, podcasts has been have been on the rise. In your opinion, what makes them such an effective tool for engagement?
Yeah, so as I mentioned at the outset of this interview, why they're such a key and valuable engagement tool is because, unlike some other strategies in alumni engagement, you're giving the alumni a voice. They speak about their experiences. They are your brand ambassadors. They've travelled the road in your school. There's really
Yeah,
no one better placed to speak about your institution than your alumni. Um, they can share, their entire life experiences, their career journeys, all their unique perspectives, and talk about how um, maybe some of the values or the spirit of the school really like push them on and help them make the right decisions, the correct decisions in their career path. And it gives you the ability to, you kind of become the broadcaster of your community, like the CNN or the BBC or the Oprah maybe of your community. Um, and the voices of your alumni will resonate with with the other alumni, with the alumni. Um, so that's one of the things I really love about podcasts. And what I also, which our clients really enjoy, is they're truly a medium that can be multi-purposed in like a zillion different ways. And Keith, a 45-minute podcast will give you a heap of options to slice and dice and repurpose to promote. So you can make short video teaser clips. I mean, at Alumni Podcast, we record the video as well. So you can take 60 seconds or 90 seconds. You can make audiograms. You can transcribe sections of the podcast to add to your newsletter or to a blog. You can take a very nice quote or two from one of the guests and put it
yeah,
into a visual to use on your social channels. So yeah, there's plenty of ways to that you can, like I say, that a series of say, 6 podcasts will give you multitude of options to put it on different channels.
yeah, yeah. That makes sense. And here I would also like to share an experience that I had. So I was speaking to a director of alumni affairs at an university in Indiana, and they had an alumni podcast program where what they did was they invited their alumni to talk about their story after they had left the university, right? And one of the episodes was about this young student or a young alumni from India, a northeastern state in India, right? And this person told me that it would never have been possible to engage with an alumni sitting in a distant state in India had it not been for the podcast, because timing is an issue, getting them to the states is an issue. But this young lady was able to share her story after the university because of the podcast, because she could record it in her own time and then share it, and then everybody in the university and the alumni community could sort of
You're right. Yeah,
hear that story,
it's
right?
yeah,
So
it's easily. You're right. Yeah, easily accessible media.
mhm.
Um, it's in your pockets on your phones on all the channels, Spotify or Amazon Music or Google or etc.
Yeah, yeah, right. All right. So again, I would love to, ask the audience if they have any observation, they can let us know. Also, what topics would you like us to cover in the future? Just, drop your comments in the section below. Finally, to wrap it up, as somebody who's again worked with advancement teams and worked in the in the sector for a long time, what would be your sort of recommendations for teams who are wanting to improve their engagement strategy?
So I think you have to look at the value proposition. I think when you're looking to increase engagement, what motivates your alumni to be part of the community. So you have the nostalgia, of course, and the love of the school, um, but in terms of value, people think, what's in it, the what's in it for me factor to motivate with some more tangible benefits,
Hmm.
like career development or networking opportunities. Um, and things that I've seen some pretty effective initiatives used by universities One university that we actually work with now, excuse me, is I've had with Alumni Podcasts, I've actually had a program running for years. So I'm assuming it's successful. It's called 1 hour a month, whereby alumni donate their time in various ways, and for that they get credits that they can use for
Yeah.
university swag. So that might be things like, posting a photograph of yourself wearing, the school swag,
Yeah.
um, writing a little piece about a reflection piece, say, on your time at the school or the university, and then posting it on your alumni portal or submitting it to be posted in a newsletter. Um, so that's an effective, and it's quite cost effective.
Yeah.
And it runs for a while. Now, other things that I've seen that are really effective are awards. And I think
Yeah.
many universities and schools run them, but they're super effective engagement tool. You're giving recognition and validation for your alumni's achievements to strengthen the bond with the institution. And again, it's interactive because you're asking your alumni to nominate other alumni for these awards. So you're encouraging a lot of interaction. And you can run these every semester or every year. You can create categories, um, nomination categories, say entrepreneurial women, or someone who's worked in humanitarian relief or environmental social causes, etc. And again, it's great passive publicity, because with that you can then run spotlight pieces on the award winners for all your channels and website. So
Yeah.
again, it's a great type of content to repurpose, and especially for small teams, excuse me, where you have limited resources and not a lot of time um, for creating new content.
Got it.
What else can I think of? One thing, and Keith, that I've seen recently um,
Hmm.
is an offering. Well, it's not new, but many people who were listening in will know that there are companies that offer to work with universities to offer discounts on goods for alumni, goods and services for alumni. So there's ones where the alumni say pay a subscription, a very small fee, and then they get discounts at about 1,000 different stores or
Yeah.
service providers, and there's no cost to the university. But in exchange, the university or school will get up to date information to enrich their database
Yeah.
from that sign in information. So that's one thing. However, recently I've heard about a new initiative, and it's only available in the US right now, and it doesn't cost anything for alumni or for the institution. And it's a way actually to create passive income. And in this case, there's no cost. There's vouchers and for services for about 70,000 different types of services or products.
Hmm. Hmm.
And the university get a proceed of the sale. So, say an alum purchases using this coupon, then part of the proceeds of sale will go towards fundraising. So it's
Yeah.
a win-win, a massive
Makes sense.
win-win. And
Yeah. No, no,
I'd
please
be
carry on.
happy to provide details about that. It's something I've just discovered, and I
Got it.
think it really ticks a lot of boxes for
It does.
engagement, for fundraising, and yeah.
Yeah, makes sense. So, we're now sort of coming to the close of the session, Sarah. So I would just, any closing comments or statement to sort of teams that are wanting to, do a better job. I think we've covered a lot of things, but in case you think we've missed something and you'd like to just, cover those in the closing statement.
Yeah, it's hard to cover everything, isn't it, in a 30-minute
Yeah.
conversation in alumni engagement. And so I think, as I mentioned earlier, I think data is so important. You need to maintain accurate and up-to-date records as much as you can, contact information, employment details, engagement history, as I mentioned before, and then tailor your communications to target specific groups effectively. And I think from what I've learned that engagement, alumni relations engagement begins not, it should start well before the students graduate.
Yeah.
Alumni relationship officers should be there at Freshers Week. We call it Freshers Week in the UK. Orientation week. Yes, in
Yeah.
the US. Orientation week. Freshers week in the UK. To introduce themselves and explain about, the lifelong benefits
Hmm.
of being part of the alumni community for the given institution.
Yeah.
The only other thing I would add is I think cross-departmental collaboration is really key
Yeah.
in alumni relations. Definitely career services. We incorporate in the conferences that I organise. We incorporated a little bit of that, but I think admissions, because when you think about how a student selects their university in particular, it's going to be maybe by location or ranking, cost perhaps, but also we can consider career outcomes, that new students are going to be looking to select a school based on the career outcomes of previous graduates. And that's why alumni relations officers with good data will have that information, and then can work together with admissions, and have a goldmine of data.
That makes complete sense. Also, I see in the comment section that Jasmine has asked us about the class service that you mentioned in one of the effective strategies, where alumni get coupons for service and the university gets some proceeds from that sale. Uh, how
Yes,
do you think? Like, let them know. Either we could just after we've closed the conversation, maybe we could just comment or reply to Jasmine's comment with the link for that service.
sure. I need to first of all, I know of this service. I don't have, Jasmine. Thank you. I don't have the link actually to hand. I would need to search it in Google, but I'm happy to provide it as I say,
Yeah,
because this to me looks like a really great initiative and a
yeah,
win-win
yeah.
for both sides, alumni
Yeah, we'll
and
definitely do that. We'll
institutions.
reply to Jasmine's sort of comment and paste the link for the service as well. All right, I think we're sort of closing. It's closing time. We're going to close a couple of minutes early. Before that, thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. Thank you, Sarah. Also,
Thank
folks in
you.
the audience, please make sure to follow Sarah on LinkedIn. There are some great insights. Also, check out Alumni Podcast. It's a great way to engage your community. And yeah, keep joining us for these lovely conversations. It's really fun. Thank you.
Really fun. Thank you. It's been a pleasure. I really enjoyed myself. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.